Today, we need to have a very serious, very graphic conversation about a game that is actively trying to push the boundaries of what is legally allowed to be sold on a digital storefront. I'm, of course, talking about Saber Interactive's upcoming survival horror absolute fever dream, Hellraiser Revival. Now, if you've been paying attention to the AAA gaming space lately, you know that we live in a relatively sanitized era. Publishers are terrified of crossing the line. We see games toning down violence, tweaking character designs, and playing it incredibly safe to appease global ratings boards and secure that mass market appeal. If a developer even thinks about putting a drop of overly realistic blood in a game, you usually have 5 corporate executives hyperventilating in a boardroom. But then there is Saber Interactive. The madmen behind Space Marine 2 have apparently decided that safe is a 4-letter word. Word has officially come down from the development team that Hellraiser Revival has officially secured its M for mature rating from the ESRB. Now, getting an M rating isn't news, but what is news, what is actually mind-blowing in the year 2026, is that Saber Interactive confirmed they did not have to cut a single piece of content to get it. Nothing was left on the cutting room floor. Zero compromises. They submitted what is reportedly one of the most unapologetically brutal, sexually charged, sadomasochistic, extreme body horror experiences ever put into Unreal Engine 5, and the ratings board just stamped it and said, yeah, sure, ship it. I genuinely want to know what the ESRB reviewers are taking for their mental health right now, because from everything we know about this game, it is a meat grinder. Saber has gone on record saying they want to push this game as far as the people who make the rules will physically let them go. We are talking fully modeled mutilation, human meat sculptures, BDSM themes that make your standard horror games look like a Sunday morning cartoon, and a level of visceral gore that is designed to make you physically uncomfortable. And they get to launch it completely uncensored. Let's actually talk about the game itself for a second, because shock value is one thing, but if the game plays like a glorified walking simulator, nobody is going to care. Hellraiser Revival is a first-person survival horror and action game. You play as a guy named Aiden Lynch, who alongside his girlfriend Sunny, makes the absolute worst mistake a human being can make, messing around with the Genesis configuration puzzle box. One accidental cut later, the Cenobites are summoned, Sunny gets dragged to hell by the Scarlet Church cult, and Aiden has to go in after her. And yes, Doug Bradley is back voicing Pinhead, which is the only way you can do a Hellraiser project correctly. If Doug Bradley isn't involved, I don't want it. The combat mechanics actually sound incredibly fascinating. It is not just about swinging a pipe at a monster until it falls over. The developers have built this brutal tactical melee system. You have enemies draped in armor. You have enemies made entirely of exposed flesh. If you want to take down an armored cultist, your sharp weapons, your knives, your machetes are basically useless. You have to use blunt force weapons like baseball bats and lead pipes to shatter their protection first. Once the armor is gone, or if you're fighting an unarmored enemy, you switch to the sharp weapons to actually make them bleed. It creates this frantic, panicked weapon juggling system in the middle of combat where weapons are degrading and breaking, and you have to constantly adapt to whatever fresh nightmare is sprinting down the hallway at you. Oh, and you can use the Genesis puzzle box as a weapon, channeling telekinetic abilities to just rip the environment and your enemies apart. But here's where we need to have a very candid discussion about expectations. Because right now, the gaming community is sitting at a perfect 50-50 split on Hellraiser Revival, and I completely understand both sides. Let's look at the optimistic 50% first. Saber Interactive has an incredible track record right now. They proved with Space Marine 2 that they know how to take a beloved gritty IP and translate it perfectly into a video game without losing its soul. They brought Clive Barker in to consult on the story for this game. They brought Doug Bradley back. They are nailing the aesthetic, and the fact that they refuse to censor the game proves that they are committed to the artistic vision, however twisted that vision might be. The survival horror genre has been begging for something that isn't just another generic zombie shooter or a hide-and-seek game where you crouch under a desk for 6 hours. Revival looks like it has teeth. It looks like it wants to hurt you, and horror fans love that. But then we have the skeptical 50%, and this is where my own concerns start to creep in. My biggest worry with Hellraiser Revival is pacing and desensitization. If you start your game at a level 10 of extreme, relentless, stomach-churning horror, where do you go from there? Human psychology is weird. If you show me a room made of human meat in hour 1, I'm going to be horrified. If you show me a room made of human meat in hour 8, I'm just going to be annoyed that it's blocking my path to the next objective. Shock value has diminishing returns. The entire game relies on making you want to throw up. It's going to get exhausting rather than scary. My other massive concern is the gameplay loop. We have seen this happen to so many first-person horror games. They start out terrifying. You have no ammo, your weapons break, you are sneaking past terrifying enemies, but by the third act, the developers run out of puzzle ideas, they give you an assault rifle, and suddenly the game devolves into a generic wave shooter where you're just gunning down hordes of bullet sponge cultists. Hellraiser is about psychological torment, atmosphere, and the blurred lines between pain and pleasure. The final 3 hours of this game is just Aiden Lynch doing his best Call of Duty impression in a leather dungeon. The entire experience falls apart. Saber needs to keep the focus on survival, not just action. Now, shifting gears for a second, I want to put my marketing hat on because we have to talk about how Saber and Boss Team Games are selling this thing. It is an absolute masterclass in knowing your niche audience. They're offering a $200 Xenobite Collector's Edition. It is arguably one of the smartest physical bundles I have seen in years. Instead of just throwing in a cheap plastic figurine and a digital soundtrack nobody listens to, they're giving you a fully functioning LED-lit one-to-one replica of the Genesis configuration puzzle box. They're literally selling the cursed artifact that starts the game directly to the players, alongside a Pillar of Souls statues and a bunch of other physical media. In an era where digital media is taking over and physical collector's editions are somewhat dying out, Saber looked at the Hellraiser fanbase, a fanbase that loves tangible, weird, macabre collectibles, and built exactly what they wanted. It is premium, it is completely unnecessary, and it is going to sell out instantly. That is how you market an M-rated horror game. You lean completely into the absurdity of the IP. But before we wrap up, I just want to give a quick channel and life update for those of you who stick around to the end of the videos. First off, thank you guys for the insane support over the last few weeks. The gaming news cycle has been an absolute roller coaster in 2026, and I appreciate every single one of you who drops a like and hangs out in the comments. Personally, I've been trying to find a better balance between the grind of content creation and actually enjoying gaming as a hobby again. It's real easy to get caught up in the algorithm and the script writing that you forget to just sit back on the couch and play something for fun. So I've been taking a few evenings off just to decompress, and honestly, it's doing wonders for the workflow. We have some massive deep dive marketing videos planned for next week, so make sure you have notifications turned on because you will not want to miss those. But I wanted to turn this over to you guys. Where do you stand on the 50-50 divide for Hellraiser revival? Are you fully on board the hype train, ready for an uncensored, brutal survival horror experience? Or are you worried that it's just going to be an edgy shock fest that runs out of steam halfway through? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be reading through and replying to as many as I can. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there.